I think what makes Yael Davids a fascinating artist to work with is how she has taken and approached the teachings of Moshe Feldenkrais, semantic techniques around body, around self-awareness, and thought how that might be applicable or useful or generative within the context of the museum.
In the process of protecting yourself or your body, you create a lot of limitation. It's come out of a goodwill for you. If you want to protect your heart, if you want to protect, you had a wound, but this becomes a stagnation. This is things that will limit you. So when I will touch a body to help a person, often the pain comes from protection. And this is and it's almost in every system when you start to work. So the museum is here to protect the collection, to protect, maybe to have inclusivity, all these things that the museum sincerely care about, but you ask yourself, what became already a habit? What became regulation? What can we open? It's not function anymore. So this is the work also, to all the time revisiting and say, is it really, really there for this reason? Or because people are so used to it and that's how it should be.
For me, it's really interesting as a curator to see how the thoughts and ideas from another discipline can be applied or speak to what we do here in the museum with our collection, with our visitors. The eye and the mind is the way that we've been programmed to think how we should interact with artworks. Yael is saying, okay, why don't we think about movement in relation to artworks rather than only think about the eye and the intellect? And then, of course, there's an approach to the building where she's saying, okay, let's think about the building as having these different parts that are all related.
There's always these two sides, the two hands, the two legs, there is a trunk, there's a center. So it's like we try to open up the exhibition. You can go from both sides. You can also go from the middle, because we also have an entrance from down to our body. So the question is like how to indeed to also make this structure more open, to offer it more way to move through it, different directions. So we invite people to look at how the movement, orientation, changing what they see or they experience. So there's a whole experience to go through a show.
There's a wonderful quote where she talks, Trisha Brown, that Yael mentions many times, talks about why are the ceilings and the walls not used in theatre. So thinking about all the different aspects of the building, how the light comes in, how we enter a space, where we ask them to go, what information we give them. All these things on a more abstract level, I think she's taking from Feldenkrais to say what you do in one part will have an effect on what happens in somewhere else. This is one of the key teachings of Feldenkrais.
So that's a bit in this practical about the show. This is for me extremely important, much more than the work I hang on the wall. It's just very tiring for everybody because it's just easy as it is, of course, and it's function as it is. It was function, it will function. So why do we have to? And that's for me the struggle with the show, of course. I mean, how do you and to really, I think that is a misunderstanding. That for me, the space or the wall or the ceiling or the door, it is important as anything else.
I think why this is significant is because it changes the parameters under which you think about how art should be experienced. If you say that the eye and the intellect is no longer the priority about how we encounter artworks, rather that we should think about a bodily relationship to artworks, then that changes the whole infrastructure or the whole mechanisms that the museum has at its disposal. The cold white cube is no longer the optimal space to experience art. The white wall, the sparse display, all these things are no longer relevant because we're saying we don't want this blank slate where we just look and contemplate. We want to experience and encounter artworks in different ways.
So the change are always tiny, And that's where you have to look always, where there's this very little tiny thing that can open up, you know, like smallest whatever it is, but you have, the work is also to learn to notice these things. So not to wait for a big, you know, big sunshine that will enter, but to really look for the little detail, because there is changes sometimes. So to be much more attuned in order to value also little changes, because they are quite big at the end.